Hi guys, welcome back to Adventures in the Schoolhouse, and we have more of our quarantine learning in this fun series, Little People Big Dreams, written by Isabel Vergara and illustrated by Shveta Dorasheva. And I love that with this particular book, the mood is obviously a very dark one, so story of Anne Frank. So I love that they chose to use black and white, and the only color, they just have like a touch of color, which is her diary. So anyway, excited to share this book with you today, and then we're going to post up a little PDF with some fun writing that goes along with this as an accompaniment. So ready to dive in. Get my glasses on. And there's definitely going to be tears for this book, because Mrs. Madden, seems like all the books that I choose are just so emotional. But all March we have been celebrating iconic, amazing, powerful, strong, bold women who made a difference in the world, and certainly Anne Frank is one of them. So I love these end sheets. So these are called end sheets, boys and girls, in case you didn't know. And I love that they chose plaid to match her diary. She had a plaid diary in real life. Sorry, we're outside, so we've got some birds. We have some birds joining us, but it's so fun to be out in nature, and I hope that you're enjoying nature during this time at home with your family. I hope you're able to go in the yard and just have nature walks and just have some time outside. So if you hear my animals, it's because we're in the yard. All right. Anne Frank was a little Jewish girl who was born in Germany. She lived happily with her parents and her older sister, Margot, in the city of Frankfurt. And here's all the black and white illustrations. It reminds me of Shel Silverstein a little bit with all the line work. But when she was 4, an ugly man with a little black mustache became the leader of her country. His name was Hitler. He hated the Jews and wanted them to disappear. Anne's family moved away to Holland, which was a free country. Anne's father opened a business, and they had a home where they felt safe. And there she is with her sister. But one day, the Nazis invaded half of Europe and arrived in Holland. Anne and all the other Jewish children were forced to go to separate schools and wear a star on their chest. So, I don't know if you can see that, but they all have stars on their chest. And there's sweet Anne. For her 13th birthday, Anne's parents gave her a diary. That day, she discovered the pleasure of writing on her own. Anne wrote in her diary about her family living in fear and being arrested. They decided to leave their home and move to a secret annex behind a bookshelf at the building where her father worked. There's the bookshelf, you can see it. They had to share their tiny new home with another Jewish family and stay very, very quiet. They could not leave their hiding place in case anyone found them. Anne's diary kept her company, and she wrote in it for hours. She wanted to publish a book and become a famous writer. But one day, Anne stopped writing. The Nazi soldiers had found them, and they were all arrested. Anne's diary was left behind in her room. The family were pushed onto a train full of people on its way to a concentration camp. It took 3 long days for them to arrive at the worst place on earth. Anne's father, Odo, was the only member of the family to survive the terrible war. He found her diary and wept as he read what his young daughter had written. He decided to publish the diary and share Anne's story just as she would have wanted. The world had to know the true story. Since then, millions of people have read and cried with the Diary of Anne Frank, the story of the little girl who dreamt of a better world. And here is the timeline. It's hard to hold back the tears on this one. Here's the timeline of Little Anne, 1931, and then here at 1942. Such a short life. And she, though, had such a positive, optimistic attitude of hope and love. And she had such a peaceful spirit about her. And I mean, wow, we're on lockdown here at home, right? And it's hard for us. Imagine being little Anne Frank and her family and being basically locked up in that tiny, tiny attic, sharing that space for such a long period of time. So this isn't too bad. We're pretty lucky right now, right? People have it worse off than we do. And despite her living environment and despite the fear that had just taken over their lives, she still, like I said, was filled with hope, love, and faith. So I wanted to read to you a couple quotes, beautiful quotes by Anne Frank, and it just kind of shows her heart and her spirit, and she was just so positive and, again, filled with hope. And wait for that airplane to fly by. Okay, think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. I love that. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. So even though she's in this tiny little attic and they had very little food and it was very tight quarters and they lived in that hiding space for a very, very long time. They had to be super quiet. That's why she wrote all the time. They couldn't talk. They had to whisper. She still found happiness in her daily life. Another one, whoever is happy will make others happy too. And I love that. That's so true. That kindness, just like happiness, can be infectious. And the last one I pulled out, and there are many, she has beautiful quotes, but I just pulled out a few. No one has ever become poor by giving. And that is also so true. There is a museum in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, that the house, the annex where Anne lived in hiding with her family, and that is an actual museum that you can visit. And I myself have been there and visited, and it's pretty incredible. And I love that the illustrator took her diary and had it here in the end sheets, which are these, the beginning and the end of the book. And I love that they highlighted it here. So everything's black and white, and I love that they have her famous diary that she shared with the world. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm excited for you to go online on our website and download the PDF and get to have some fun with this Anne Frank lesson.